the matchup everyone's going to be talking about is TJ Watt off the edge going against the rookie Dawand Jones. But to me, the Browns are going to put a lot of time and attention to this matchup, meaning if it's Alex Highsmith one-on-one against Jedrick Wills, if you have DeMarvin Leal, if you have Keanu Benton, they're going to get one-on-one matchups that they need to exploit because of the attention Watt is going to garner. That's what I'm watching in this one as the Steelers try to slow down Nick Chubb and the Browns running game.
Yeah, they're going to be concerned about TJ Watt, Mark, but they're going to come in the same game plan what they did last week. His name going to be Big Chubbs. They're going to run Nick Chubbs. Cam is out. One of the founders sitting in the middle. When you got a Cam out, what you want to do? You want to run it right up the gut. So I think the Cleveland Browns formula going to be, let's do what we did last week. Let's control the clock. Let's keep TJ Watt off our quarterback, Alex Highsmith off our quarterback, and let's run the ball. And by the way, Cam is not going to be playing this game. Let's run the ball. So let's play good defense. They played good defense last week. So they first rounders, second rounders they've been drafting over the course of 3 or 4 years, they starting to play together. So run the ball, play D, let Deshaun, if needed, make a few plays and get out the stadium with the W. But I don't think the game plan for the Cleveland Browns is going to be very, very stressful at all. And what I mean by that is it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Chubbs all day.
Yeah, Jack Conklin out for the Browns, which is why they're going to start the rookie, and that's a tall task for any right tackle, even if Conklin were healthy and trying to slow down TJ Watt. But the Steelers, everyone knows about this, Ike, and we recorded an emergency pod earlier this week. Cam Hayward is going to be on IR, out with a groin injury, meaning the earliest he can come back and return to the field is after the bye week, and then Deontay Johnson will miss the next few games as he recoups from a hamstring injury, so he'll be out as well. But losing Jack Conklin, too, it's not like the Steelers are the only team going into this matchup with injury issues. And how the teams cope, they have an extra day to prepare as well, given that this game is on Monday night. Steelers got to regroup, and they got to look better. I'm curious to see, okay, we were very impressed with the Browns' performance against the Bengals in week 1, coming off a 24-3 victory. Can the Steelers regroup after the blowout loss to the 49ers? And it's like, did the Steelers look that bad, or the 49ers that good? Did the Browns look that good, or the Bengals just rusty, considering Joe Burrow didn't practice much with his own injury in training camp? So how all that comes to fruition on Monday night, I can't wait to see how that hangs out, because right now we just have a 1-game sample size.
Yeah, between the rookie for Cleveland and Jack, you got to understand the best thing you can do for those guys is let them use their weight. And what you're going to do, you're going to run the ball. You don't want to put them guys in situations when you have them Highsmiths and them TJ Watts coming off the edge, because TJ, regardless on who he's playing, he's still going to get his 3 sacks what he did last week, 2 forced fumble and a fumble recovery. That's what TJ Watt do. So if you're looking for a star who's always going to be healthy, you're going to get TJ Watt. Going against a rookie, no, I'm going to go ahead and run the ball. If I catch a rookie over there, I'm sure he's going to have a Chubbs blocking or an extra tight end to help the rookie out. But, you got 2 tackles, pretty much starting coming off that edge, man. You don't want to pass the ball. And I don't think they want Deshaun to drop back to force that offensive lineman to handle a Highsmith and a TJ Watt coming off the edge. So you're going to have to run the ball.
Yeah. That's going to be huge, and that was something the Steelers couldn't do in week 1. Only 10 rushes, 41 yards. They had to abandon the run because the clock then became a factor when it's a 2-score game or a multi-score game. Now, the Browns haven't been 2-0, Ike, since 1993. That was the year I was born. So the Browns have it's been a long time since they've been consistently good. I know Browns fans might be watching this and say, Mark, don't you remember the playoffs a few seasons back? I do. But the Browns typically don't start out hot. And again, haven't been 2-0 since 1993. The Steelers are at home again at Acrisure. I didn't expect the Steelers to win against the 49ers. I also didn't expect a blowout. I do think they'll regroup in week 2. But I think this is a must-win game for the Steelers. And people are going to say, in week 2, how is that?
No,
I
it
look
is.
at the statistical probability as if your team starts out 0-2, you're digging yourself a deep, deep hole to then go on and make the playoffs. It's not impossible. We saw the Bengals do it a year ago, but that Bengals team is the exception, not the norm for teams that start out 0-2 in a season.
It's a must win because this is a divisional game, Mark. You know, you sweep your division, that's an automatic playoff berth. Or you come number one in your division, that's an automatic playoff berth. So yeah, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's why we draft the way we draft. We draft
You know?
for our division. So yes, you know, this is a must win because it's a divisional game.
Yeah. Yeah, Ike, I'm with you. I'm with you. Player to watch, Najee Harris, Ike, because he has averaged almost 104 yards rushing in 4 games against the Browns. Can he get going? And there's been a lot of criticism in the offseason of Najee to say, oh, Jaylen Warren's better. I like Jaylen Warren as well. I'm just also a proponent of if Jaylen Warren had the same sample size as Najee Harris, I think you would see very, very similar levels of production. He's the player I'm watching in this game because I go back to what you said off the top with Nick Chubb. And again, this was an issue in week 1, too, when time of possession became a factor. Your defense is on the field for long periods and fatigue comes into fruition. I know this game's at night, but it's still early on in the season when it's a lot warmer out compared to when things cool off in October, November, December, and January.
Right. So Jaylen, we always look at the backup as the savior for some reason, whether it's running backs or whether it's quarterbacks. Then you find out, hey man, once these teams start game planning for you, it's a different story. But Jaylen already said it. Jaylen said it a couple of weeks ago, coming out of training camp. Najee is the bell cow. I'm here to help. Plain and simple. So I get right now, Jaylen is the fan favorite, but when you got a guy like Najee, you just got to get him in the rhythm. You got to feed him the ball. The last week wasn't the time to feed him the ball because we got so far behind and we ran out of time. So Najee couldn't be Najee, but it's this the game right here where it's gonna be Chubbs and Najee. So we shall see who gonna get that 100, who gonna get that 100 plus, and who will have the most touchdowns rushing.
Yeah, Ike, it's going to be tough slowing down Myles Garrett. I saw the Browns moved him around against the Bengals too, and we talked about the Euro step move that Myles Garrett has off the edge. That like he was doing fake crossovers at the line of scrimmage and just causing disruption for the Bengals in week 1. Slowing him down is a tough task for whoever is lined up across from him. So that's going to be key as well. And then the secondary too, Amari Cooper is good a route runner as there is in the league. So whether it's Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, I think Joey Porter Jr. will get some more snaps this week too. Slowing him down in the passing game too. Someone we don't talk a lot about, Amari Cooper, but there's a consistency there year in and year out that he provides at the receiver position where these are just players the Steelers are going to have to stop. Where if I'm the Steelers defense, it's Chubb number 1, Cooper, and then Njoku as well as a playmaker at the tight end position as well. Like those are the 3 where it's like, all right, I really have to know where Chubb is in the backfield, but Cooper on the outside for me too. It's the reason why the Steelers drafted Joey Porter Jr. It's the reason why the Steelers drafted Corey Trice Jr., who's going to miss the season, but revamping the secondary, it's the reason you bring in Patrick Peterson. I want to see that short up in week 2 because the Steelers allowed almost 400 yards of offense against the 49ers in week 1.
Yeah. Mark, Myles Garrett was in the zone. He was in the matrix coming off that Cincinnati game. How you get him out the zone? You run it. How you get TJ Watt out the zone? You run it. How you get Alex Highsmith out the zone? You run it. All these great pass rushers, you run the ball. And when you have time, when you get a feel for it, when your offensive line is clicking and you're up in the game and you want to control the clock, that's exactly what you do. You get these guys out the zone by running the ball. So that's why I think it's going to be heavy running this game between both teams to keep these pass rushers from getting on their quarterbacks.
One thing I want to see the Steelers do sooner rather than later in this season, Ike. Matt Canada taken over as the OC in 2021. He was the quarterback's coach before that under Randy Fichtner. During that time, the Steelers offense hasn't had a 400-yard game. Every other NFL team has had at least 3. I don't think it comes this week against the Browns, but I don't think the offense can look much worse than it did against the 49ers. That being said, I think the 49ers team's out for blood this year, and I fully expect them to contend in the NFC. Got to get this offense rolling at home and get the home crowd into it. A stat they had during the broadcast last week, Ike, that I thought was very telling. The Steelers were 6-0 a season ago when they scored first in games. You get a fast start. A lot of these are cliches, like you can say them about a lot of football games, but the Steelers were 6-0 in games last year where they scored first. They score first on Monday night. I like them to take care of business against the Browns. Ike, I'll go to my score prediction for the Steelers-Browns game in week 2. I got the Steelers taking care of business at home 20-17. I think it's going to be a ball control game. Which team has better time of possession? Which team can run the ball more effectively? It's a tall task against Nick Chubb, but Najee Harris has played well in his career against the Browns, and I expect him to get going early. And the Steelers to commit more to the running game, a lot more than they did in week 1. Again, only 10 rushing attempts in the opener against the 49ers. Not really a recipe against a 49ers team to have success, but when you're facing a deficit in this one, I think controlling the line of scrimmage, getting Kenny Pickett comfortable, I do think the Steelers take care of business at home, and I think they win by 3 on Monday night.